Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. I'm super excited for you to be here. My name is Dr. Mursi. I am a newly graduated resident. That's so crazy. If you guys have been following me for a minute, thank you guys so much for your love and support. I always appreciate it. But anyway, this video is a launch video. It's a launch party for my new handle called I Plan to Study on TikTok that I'm super excited about. Studying plays a huge role in our medicine journey. We'll forever have to keep studying. We're a forever student of medicine, even once we're done with residency. I'll have a lot of tips and study schedules that I'm going to be talking about and just medical school stories. And it's going to be a vibe. Let's hope. It is officially launched, so go ahead and check it out. And to celebrate the start of this new chapter that I'm excited about, a new project, I got a few of my friends, colleagues, and followers to come on FaceTime to answer some questions. I hope you find this really helpful, which I think you will. Let's get started with the questions. Here we go. All right, so we'll start off with Jab. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll go ahead and start if you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
How do you motivate yourself to study?
The biggest thing for me for motivation is realizing why I'm doing it, because the day it can be monotonous and you can forget the purpose for studying and why you're doing it. But for me, it's always been to make my parents happy, make myself happy, of course, and then also I wanted to do something influential that will make an impact on my life. So I thought medicine was true for that.
Hi, Jen. Thank you for joining me and answering some questions. Are you ready?
My motivation to study comes from my not wanting to fail an exam or fail a test. So my fear of failing is what motivates me to study. Also, my goals. So if I have a goal of passing an exam or doing something, that always pushes me to study as well.
Thank you, Kim, for joining. And thank you for answering some of these questions. So we'll start off with the first one.
I mean, for me, just to get motivated to study, I feel like I have to take a little bit of time. I kind of do like my daily routine in the morning. And I think having a plan for the day is kind of what motivates me, like knowing what I have to get through, how many questions I have to do, what topics I want to cover, stuff like that is kind of what motivates me. And then also like having a little bit of a countdown. I know for some people it might be a little bit of pressure, but I think it helps to at least like light a fire under your butt just to like kind of make sure you have a target and this is what your goals are to get to that target. And I mean, that's, I think, super helpful.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for joining me. How are you doing?
Doing good.
How do you get motivated to study?
Thankfully, right now, as an attending, I'm not studying for a test. I think as a student, just like any athlete flexing a muscle, you need to just do it. Some days you're not going to have motivation. So crippling fear of failing out of med school and not matching into residency really did it for me for step one.
Yeah.
But eventually, you just have to make it part of your daily routine. When I'm reading journals, as I look at a stack of Jack articles that I have to read, it's easier to, do a little bit every day than try to do hours at a time. And I don't have the attention. I mean, I never really had a good attention span, but it's even worse nowadays. So I think it's just trying to get into that routine, and hopefully it gets a little bit easier.
And what happens when you don't feel so motivated? Like, how do you get yourself back to it, back on track?
It's usually separating myself from, schoolwork, exam studying, work, and really spend family and having a good support system that's, reinforcing the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I think it's normal for anyone to feel discouraged at times, but to bring yourself back is a true sign of strength and desire.
What time of the day do you like to study?
I've always been a night owl.
I like to study kind of in the evening / towards the end of the day.
I like studying in the morning.
I study best in the morning.
You study at night because of the quiet. There's not too many outside factors like family, loved ones messaging you. And I don't know, maybe for you, but I definitely feel like time goes by a little bit slower at night. It seems like the hours seem like days to me. And when I'm always checking the time, like 10 minutes have gone by, but I felt like I got through so much studying.
I actually agree that time does slow down. And it's because I feel like you have a lot of time because there's less distractions.
Exactly. I agree. Distractions are a big thing. And just like things that you have to get done during the day.
Yeah.
There's got to run, things to do, work, whatever. So time goes by quickly. But at not much to do besides, study, for example, it seems like you have infinite amount of time.
Now this is making me want to be a night owl.
Well, it does mess with your sleep. Not used to it, but you do have to factor in a bunch of stuff to be able to do it.
The mornings don't work for me. So I kind of like to go to class, go to work, do what I have to do, and then come home, eat, take a shower, kind of like settle in, and then study for the rest of the day.
That's so crazy because Jap is a night owl. I cannot study at night, and actually, I cannot study in the evening either. I like my mornings.
Nope, I fall asleep in the mornings. I literally wake up at 5, 6 o'clock, or 7. Like people say, "Oh, wake up, study first thing," and I'm falling asleep right in front of my books. So it doesn't work for me.
That's awesome, though, that you know what works for you, and it doesn't have to be the same for everyone.
Personally, for me, I like studying in the morning. I think that once you get up, you have like I mentioned earlier, your daily routine. You get a cup of coffee, and then you kind of set your goals and you kind of jumpstart your day. I understand that in residency it was a little bit different for me. I had to do my rotations, get through lectures and all that, and then kind of deal with studying afterwards.
Mhm.
But I think waking up with a fresh mind, kind of being motivated in the morning, kind of having what being well rested kind of helps me. So that's why I personally like studying during the morning.
Yep, I'm the same way. I actually like to study in the morning.
Yeah, I like to work hard all day and then have a reward at night. Like I'll turn on a show or something.
Yes.
So that's how I am. And ideally, I want stretches of hours of a day. But I know that's not ideal. Even in med school, it's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
But it's nice when you have that dedicated study time and you have the whole day. You can wake up early, get everything done, even go to the gym, exercise, do whatever you want, get started, do your thing, and then at night kind of reward yourself with something else.
I feel like I need to. I study best in the morning. Like when I wake up, have a cup of coffee, get my brain going. It takes me an hour, and anyone who's worked with me knows that I need an hour to wake up. And after that, back in the day, I would do 4 hours for step 1, and then take a break, and then do another 4 hours. I don't know how I did it back in the day, but it's tough for me to have it. It's just like a workout where it's nice when you, even if it's not a great workout, if you work out in the morning, get it out of the way, and then it's done, and then you can go back and always do more studying. So I always did a little bit better studying in the morning, but when it comes to rotations and studying for board exams, you got to just fit it in wherever you can.
Do you plan your study sessions out, or do you just kind of get started and then figure it out as you go?
That's an interesting question because it changed for me. When I was in college, just so you know, I did engineering. I was a biomedical engineer, and I was very organized and I had to finish this studying at this time. Mm-hmm. But I realized as I went through my career and my education pathway that the goals that I'm setting, if I weren't able to make them, I would be more disappointed. So I don't set more when I study. I just study. And that way I get done what I get done. I don't feel disappointed by my studying. And if I'm rushed for whatever reason, I'm not taken aback, and I'm not asking myself, why didn't I get that done?
I'm definitely one who plans my study session. I actually plan my study sessions a week out. So Sundays are my day where I plan my week in advance. So I will plan to study so many questions, so many topics or systems in advance. Mm-hmm. And for me, that gives me a chance to, if I don't meet that goal, to make up at some point during the week or the weekend, to catch up on my study goals. But I'm definitely one who plans my, I can't just
right. So me too. I'm a planner because that allows me to like you said, if I can't reach that goal, that plan, then I have days marked for just catch up days. Right. And it gives me oh my God, I'm a planner. I need it, especially with my ADHD. I have to have it. But yeah.
When I know an exam's coming, I get a little scatterbrained. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I tend to just figure it out and see what's going on. But I realize that that's not the way it works for me. And you have to be very realistic. And it has to be a realistic goal as to what you think you can get through. Sometimes I'm behind, sometimes ahead of it, but I need to have a structure.
If I'm studying for a test, 100% plan it out. You gotta plan it out. I feel like if you just study aimlessly, you might improve, but you really need to know what are your weaknesses, what do I need to to improve on.
What was a study tip that you received that has helped you study?
I think everyone studies differently, so I wouldn't really focus on how you're studying, but the biggest thing is repetition. I think our brains work better and can remember more if we see things multiple times in different ways, maybe the same way, and definitely not cramming. So don't cram and review things repeatedly 2 or 3 times until you think you can explain it to a 5th grader.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the key. You can explain to someone who has no knowledge of that, you've mastered.
So I would say my biggest study tip is to just study. And like for me personally, like I said, I always kind of took tips from different people and kind of incorporated it to my own personal style, because people are going to give you tips. By the end of the day, you have to figure out which one works for you. Some people say, oh, do questions. Other people's like, watch videos. Other people's like, read a book. But if it doesn't work for you, then it's not a good tip. So I will try different things to see which one works for me.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the day, I think my biggest tip to give to anyone watching is just study. The more you study, the more you know what works for you, what styles are good for you, the times of the day to study. So, yeah.
I love that answer because that's exactly it. Like something that might be so perfect for one person and they get like amazing grades with it might not work at all for someone else. So
people telling me that just be patient with yourself. Sometimes studying can get so frustrating. You can't understand a topic. You go over it 1,000 times and you still don't understand it. As well as like your friend who reads it one time and like gets it like that, you know? You have to be patient with yourself, understand your pace. Like I think a lot of the times when it comes to studying, half the battle is understanding how to study well. And, you know, and that takes a lot of time for some people. I feel like in med school, we study so much, but sometimes like, at the end of the day, even years of studying, you realize you weren't studying efficiently, you know, for, oh, like now the stuff that you learned for step 2 or step 3, you're like, oh man, if I applied this in step 1, I would have, yeah. So, I mean, I think for me, it's just be patient with yourself. Don't get frustrated and just keep going.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I think that's a really good advice to be patient with yourself because it can be drowning.
I think especially earlier on in med school, it was don't waste time making notes and a study product, that your notes should be your study product. So you should take notes in a way that you can use it to then actively learn. And that's the number 2 thing, which is that just writing down and reading your notes isn't enough. You need to challenge yourself to regurgitate it out. And I guess the third thing is that if you truly know something, then you should be able to teach it. Like if someone ever asks you to, I think I understand Bitcoin, but then someone asked me to explain the theory and the blockchain, I'm like, I guess I don't understand it. So if you can and that's why I enjoy being a gross anatomy TA, because if you truly understand something deeply and you're able to teach it, that to me shows when you truly have mastered it.
What's the first thing you think of whenever I say the word study?
Exam.
I like that.
For me, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's an exam.
Read?
Read it.
No, I like highlighters, pens.
Highlighters, pens, notebooks. Yeah.
Notebooks, something.
Study.
Anxiety, not gonna lie, a little bit. Especially like I think, now after also getting through the boards, like it's always like another mountain.
Yeah.
Another mountain to climb. It's like you have MCATs, then you got step 1, 2, and 3, and then you got your boards. It's like nonstop.
Anxiety. I love that answer.
I should have initially said a hill. Like that's honestly what it is. It's like a hill.
Yeah.
And you just gotta get over it.
Yeah. What is the first thing you think of when I say the word study? Don't think too much.
Tired.
I like that. When you say I plan to study, do you generally like follow through with that? Is that something that you have a hard time with?
When I was keeping more of an organization and a schedule, it was harder for me to follow it. I'm a big procrastinator. I have to be in a mindset to study. So when I plan to study, I usually do it 1 early, like I said earlier. And then 2, I tend to not stick to a schedule. I just want to study and see how much I can get done and then base future studying off of that. But the biggest thing is to start early, because if you're cramming and you have no schedule, you're really setting yourself up for disaster.
I plan to study. I study.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, I think there's phases. If you're in the intense phase of study, I study. But if I feel like I have a little bit of time, I still study.
Yeah.
But I might not be as focused or intent. You know what I mean?
Well, when I say I plan to study, I will say 80%, I do follow through. It depends on my mood. It depends on the way, how tired I am, how, what my day was like, so it depends. But I would say 80% yes. When I say I plan to study, I do plan to study.
When I plan to study, I most frequently follow through, except for when I don't.
And are you hard on yourself when you don't?
I think it's the same thing of when you have a to-do list and or when you're hanging out with friends and you haven't seen them in a while and you make these crazy plans to get brunch tomorrow. And then you're going to go do 9 holes of golf. And then afterwards, you're all going to hang out and get pizza. It's like you need to set a realistic to-do list and a realistic study list and understand that you might not have the same energy in the morning than you do after a full shift of work. They have to set realistic expectations. So when I plan to study, I try to plan realistic expectations.
So thank you, Jab, for answering those questions. Now I do have one more question. Are you subscribed to my YouTube channel?
Oh, I have been since I met you 3 years ago. And everyone should like and subscribe to your content because you really do know what you're talking about and you have a good message to spread. So I appreciate that.
Oh, I love that. I did not pay him to say that.
Trust me, I barely compliment you. So the few times I do, I really do mean it.
Aw, thank you, Jab. Well, thank you for joining and answering my questions. I appreciate it. My last question is, have you subscribed to my YouTube channel?
Absolutely, I think so. Who wouldn't want to subscribe to that channel? You should subscribe.
Oh, I love you. Thank you, Jen. So thank you so much, Kim, for doing this with me. I do have one last question. Have you subscribed to my YouTube channel?
Absolutely. Of course. I was your first subscriber. What are you talking about?
Yes, you will. Yeah, you were. Thank you for joining me and answering these questions. Now, one last question. Are you subscribed to my YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Okay. For a second, I was like, wait, Mark. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the like button. And if you haven't hit the bell button to be notified, go ahead and do that too, so you're notified every time I post. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok. I plan to study. There is a link in the description box. You can also find my links to my blog and other social media platform in the description box below. And stay tuned for study schedules coming your way starting next week. And if you're interested in the study schedules, you can go ahead and check out my blog where I will link the schedules itself and you can get access to them. I'll see you back in my next video coming up next week. And also be sure to let me know what type of content you would like to see in the future in the comment section below. All right, bye guys.